This is Chapter 5 of Arc 1 of When Realms Bind. Captain HD, Garkez Alta Misuturator, Link, and Lord Plated, who is being held by Garkez, are traveling quickly towards the place where the defenders are being trained as Altums. They notice, though, Iniquitatem, who is still on his horse, gaining on them. Captain HD tells Garkez to hand Plated off to Misuturator and follow him into battle. After doing so, they fly to defeat Iniquitatem. Misuturator tells Link to run to the bottom of the hill and yell for a man named Prudence. Call him Altum Prudence, and yell to him, "I ask for something indispensable." He will surely respond to those words. Link nods and runs quickly towards the hill. The two boys pounded Altum Iniquitatem, and at a certain point, he is on the ground begging for mercy. The boys then stop destroying him as the southern and eastern defender, carrying Altum Prudence, fly down from the mountains. "What is this?" asks Prudence. "Have mercy, Prudence. Please, promise me that you will listen to me before making any hasty judgments." Prudence looks to Misuturator and then Garkez. After recognizing Garkez, Prudence prostrates himself on the ground and waits for Garkez to tell him to rise. After standing, Prudence says, "Obviously, you are at odds." He is, of course, referring to Altum Iniquitatem and Garkez and Altum Misuturator. Misuturator begins to speak, but then motions to Garkez. Garkez declares, "It's, from what I can tell, quite simple. Iniquitatem tried to rally against my comrades and I, and then realized his chance when a certain lord, Eustian, tried to seek counsel from my comrade, Captain HD. This is how Misuturator explained it. "You do not understand," cries Iniquitatem. "Eustian tried to work outside the bounds of the law. I was not trying to kill him, but rather stop him. One of the lords tried to shoot him." "And then suddenly there was an organized attack against us?" exclaims Captain HD. "And you think I was simply behind everything?" replies Iniquitatem. "Do you even know why I am here? I am trying to stop the madness of Lords Anima and young Goldsmith. The natives have lost their mind." Everyone paused. "You mean King Anima?" responded Misuturator. "Also, I do not think Anima would have been so calculated. The boys were attacked quickly. Vocem only had minutes to gain a head start. Also, I should note that Iniquitatem put up a little fight. It makes me think that much of his power has been spent resurrecting certain lords and men he lost during our attempted massacre. You will find, contrary to your assertion, that I brought back Eustian, Dominic Butler, and the pilot. And if I were to have brought back any more, I would not have made the journey." "Well then," asked Misuturator, why did you have to make the journey?" "This is fruitless," cried Iniquitatem. "Defenders, take me up to the holy place. Bring me before the prison of 1,000 deaths to take the oath. Then will you believe me?" They all sigh and fly up there, except Plated and Link. They ask Iniquitatem to kneel before the prison to take an oath of fidelity to the religion, the republic, and the truth. To lie about the truth here would mean the punishment of 1,000 deaths before finally dying forever. Iniquitatem begins to speak the oath, but suddenly stands and opens the prison of 1,000 deaths to let out its 3 prisoners. The fight begins, with Captain HD getting launched. He ran forward to stop Iniquitatem. Then a battle ensues. Iniquitatem the whole time is yelling, "I saved you 3! Please spare me!" This just makes the 3 want him dead even more, so they decide to gang up on Iniquitatem. As they are going to kill him, Prudence intervenes and sends one back and into a giant rock, sending it crumbling on top of him. The other 2 quickly get attacked by the other 2 defenders as Garkez flies towards where Captain HD was launched, so as to bring him back into the fight. Before Garkez returns, the 3 have all left the scene, leaving all 5 of our heroes still alive and Iniquitatem on the ground. Prudence grabs Iniquitatem by the collar and drags him towards the prison. Iniquitatem tries to plead with Prudence, but Prudence simply looks forward and towards the prison. The defenders and Misuturator look down as Garkez sheds a tear and Captain HD frowns as Altum Prudence throws Iniquitatem in the prison of 1,000 deaths. The 5 travel down and are reunited with Link and Plated. There they camp out, and Prudence explains who the three were. Those three were the greatest threats to the kingdom once the wars broke out. They grew in followers once the natives were brought back from the Second Death. Many immigrants did not like the natives taking back their land, and nearly decimated the kingdom. Iniquitatem, Musiturator, and I were, along with the surviving types, the last line of defense. While we fought in the front lines, the Republic formed and grew in power. Prudence continues. Anima could not harness the kingly power despite King Regnum being dead. Please note that Prudence does not know that King Regnum was actually alive. It did not matter much though, because few were interested in having a king. They were still very loyal to their prior kings. At this point he pauses and nods at Garques and Captain HD. They were the prior kings. Prudence then continues. The Republic changed the way the power of these lands were channeled, particularly the newly founded Lordship of Six. They received the praise for the defeat of the main revolution, led by those three men. I personally blessed the Republic and there was relative peace. Captain HD chimes in. You should know that Regnum had not died until recently. This is why Anima could not harness the power. The group then talks for some time about the story of the boys and girls and the involvement of Crampeltine in their story, his defeat, and his apparent return and establishment as a lord. Prudence is greatly interested in this story, especially how Crampeltine could sneak into their ranks without being caught and revealed by Prudence's wisdom. To not be caught means Crampeltine's cloak of deception is thick. After some time on this topic, though, Altum Prudence resumes his story. The three were in prison for a short time because they were high risk. Their names are John, Newt, and Planted. A group was assembled to take them to the prison of 1,000 deaths. They knew that if they told us where they got their powers and fought for us, they would not have been submitted to such a painful torture. We had a suspicion it was Breadworks, but we could not prove anything and did not know where Breadworks was at the time. And still don't, one of the defenders adds under his breath. Prudence frowns and then continues. Their mouths were shut, though, so we cast them inside. Their escape means another war, most likely. They are probably on their way to grow into a powerful force. They will be happy to know that there are more than enough rebels to choose from. Prudence sighs before concluding his story. We live in dark times. Prudence then sits silently for the rest of the night. The next morning, Prudence discusses with Musiturator and Garques whether the two defenders should be made Altums or if they should simply hurry back to the castle. Musiturator at first thinks going back would be a good idea, but after listening to Garques changes his mind and thinks that in case of their deaths, having more Altums to continue a chain of religious leaders would be a good idea, because only an Altum can make an Altum. All three of them decide to stay, although Captain HD is a little reluctant. They all go up to the holy place nonetheless, and the defenders become Altums. During this moment, Link recognizes he wants to be an Altum as well and is convicted of following in the defenders' footsteps. He makes a note to ask Musiturator about it. The defenders are also given new names. The Eastern Defender is renamed Altum Esther, and the Southern Defender is renamed Altum Mange. Now they decide to begin their journey back to the castle. The journey to the prison took about a week and a half, so it'll probably take that long on the way back. They consider leaving Plated, and another because Plated is still quite weak and someone should guard him. Plated simply says to leave him until he recovers the strength necessary, though. He is not concerned about being alone and tells the group that they will need all of their strength to hurry home and fight against the Ancient Three. No one wants to leave him, but do leave him due to his adamantness. They then tell him that they will return as soon as they can and leave him in the shack that Prudence and the Altum stayed in during the retreat. It is stocked with food and water, and it has a great view. At the castle are Liberian, Anima, and Pragner. Liberian continues to grow mad with power, while Anima and Pragner remain a bit unsure about the situation. Pragner is often not at the council, which continues to upset Liberian. Anima, alternatively, is becoming more and more addicted to all the gifts Liberian is giving him. Liberian continues to thank Anima for being so brave, and continues to explain bad philosophy to him to corrupt his understanding of the world. As a result, Anima is starting to believe that his role is to conserve his power as much as possible, and that he has an absolute right to the throne, and that no one should ever take it away from him again. Anima is ultimately a tragic figure, and is surely being manipulated by Liberian to remain stubborn and impulsive. Someone knocks at the door of the council. Anima, alone in the council room, grants the visitor entrance. A new figure and Liberian enter. "Anima, meet the archer," says Liberian. "Where is he from?" asks Anima. "He decided to join our team. This fine man was previously the pilot. He renounced the boys and girls, though, and decided to join us." Anima looks at the archer, who appears to be a stone, and he shivers a little bit. "I hope that he may have a place on the council, at least temporarily, until Iniquitatum returns and we organize," notions Liberian. "I don't mind," responds Anima. "Delightful! You won't regret it. Please sit, the archer," says Liberian. The archer sits postured and still, and Anima sighs and looks out the window of the castle and onto his kingdom.